Hey guys, we're going to talk a little bit today about your first unit of your world history packets. This one's going to be the Adolf Hitler one. I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit so you kind of have just some general understanding what I was going for. Um, I'm opening up the first slide here. Now, his rise to power. Adolf Hitler, the first thing is he's born on April 20th, 1889 in Austria. That's really big because he'll go through and he will really try to push the idea of raising the like German nationalism and the Third Reich and bringing Germany back to greatness and this and that. When in truth is he wasn't German at all. He was Austrian. Now moving on to his parents. His parents, Aloy Hitler was his dad. He was a customs official who was of illegitimate birth, and they think that his grandfather might have been Jewish, and that played a big role because his dad was often very anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish because he believed that his father might have been Jewish, and with his father leaving him and never really having anything to do with him, it really made it hard on his father growing up, mainly because he was what they would have called a bastard child because his father wasn't around. And it was in society back then that was really seen to be a bad thing. And so Aloy really held a lot of bad feelings toward his father, who they believed might have been Jewish. So therefore, he was very anti-Semitic, and Adolf got his anti-Semitism from his father. He died when Adolf was 14, and it left Adolf a little bit of inheritance, which he will then run away and kind of squander. And eventually, he lives on the streets of Vienna for a while. Now, his mother, Clara, when she married Aloy, she was very young. Aloy was in his late 40s when he married Clara, and she was only like 14 or 15. So it was really kind of weird. Now, Adolf carried a picture of his mom until the day he died. He had a very strong relationship with his mother, kind of weird relationship with his mother. I won't really get into this. When she died, when Adolf was 18, it kind of started Adolf's downward spiral. When she died, it kind of triggered something in him that just really messed him up. Now, when he was young, Adolf attended a Benedictine monastery school, and when it was time for him to choose a secondary school or a high school, he wanted to become an artist. His father really did not like that. He wanted him to be a civil servant like he had been, and he really pushed him to go in to work for the government, this and that. Now, when his father dies at 14, Adolf drops out of high school and attempts to join the Vienna Fine Academy or the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, but he is rejected. He's rejected to get in there several times. His artwork, if you look on the next few slides, was pretty good, but it wasn't the outstanding work the Vienna School was looking for. Now, a lot of historians believe that if he would have got into the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, that he would have definitely would have changed him, and we probably never would have had World War II. So we can pretty much blame World War II on the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts for not letting him become the artist that he wanted to be. Now, when he goes, after his mother dies, he flees to Vienna, as I said, and he tries to get into the Academy of Fine Arts once again, and they reject him. So eventually, what he does is he sells all of his possessions because he runs out of money, and he just is kind of like a homeless drifter that goes around the town of Vienna, sleeps on park benches, eats at soup kitchens, draws postcards, and tries to sell them, things like that. The biggest importance, though, is when he's in Vienna, he starts to pay attention to politics, especially the mayor of Vienna, and he was very, very anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. He blamed the Jews for all of the problems the Austrians were having. That he used them as a scapegoat or someone to blame their problems on. And Hitler takes all of that anti-Semitism, the things that Karl Lueger, the mayor of Vienna, does, and he uses it when he rises to power. In Vienna, even though it's in Austria, he begins interested in this great idea of German nationalism. And that will drive him to start his Third Reich. In Austria, or in Vienna, Austria, Hitler began to claim Jews were natural enemies, what he called the Aryan race. His obsession with the Jews sometimes verged on the ridiculous side. He blames all of his problems on the Jews. It goes clear back to his grandfather and his dad's problems with the Jews, and then he believes that since the Jews were rich and he was poor, all of his problems are because the Jews are taking his money and this and that. And so this deep hatred builds up within him. Now, in beginning of World War I, Adolf Hitler, Austria had a draft and required all young men to serve in the military. And Adolf didn't want to serve for the Austrian military. So at 24, he fled into Germany. Where once he gets into Germany, though, he goes to a rally for the German army, and he pretty much gets convinced of this German excellence. And so he goes and he joins a Bavarian unit, which was part of the German army, to fight for the Germans in World War I. He was extremely excited to fight for Germany. He found a home fighting for what he terms the fatherland, and he will use that term a ton to his rise of power and to taking over and creating this strong Germany in World War II. The highest rank he holds is a corporal. That plays a major role when we will talk about World War II because he really wants to try to run the army in World War II, and he really doesn't know how, and he doesn't listen to his generals when he probably should have, and so that plays a major role. Now, he had a very dangerous job. He was a regimental messenger, and his job was to go from the front lines in the trenches and work his way back to the trenches. And remember talking about trench warfare, standing up in those trenches was very dangerous because you could get shot very easily. And so it was a very, very dangerous job. Now, Hitler was a decorated war hero. He never complained about food or conditions, preferring to talk about art and history. He really served his country very well, or served Germany very well in World War I. Now, he was admitted to a field hospital and temporarily blinded because of a poison gas attack in 1918. He later said that during this experience, he became convinced that the purpose of his life was to save Germany. He goes under this gas attack and it really kind of messes with his mind. He's laying in bed and he's having these daydream things, and it really makes him believe that it is his goal and his purpose in life is to go out and make Germany great again and make Germany this great Third Reich. And so this kind of incident really pushes him to try to achieve this greatness. Like, as I said, he was a decorated war hero. He was awarded the Iron Cross twice, which that's the highest medal in the German army back then. He single-handedly captured 4 French soldiers behind enemy lines one time. Well, actually, they came across, they had stormed across, they got into the German trenches. He happened to sneak up behind them and capture them, but he was rewarded for that. Now, after World War One, Hitler was extremely devastated when he heard the news of the German surrender. He blames the loss of the war on the government, on the Jews, and on the Marxist or the communist. Said that there's an anti-war conspiracy going out because of that. He felt that the German military, did not lose the war, but the politician, mostly the Jews that were in control of the government, were the ones that were responsible for the defeat, and so he holds that in for a long time. Life after World War I, Hitler was very, very depressed. He really enjoyed army life. It gave him some structure. So what he starts to do is he got a job working in the army to go over and to like Marxist or communist meetings and uncover these Marxists. He also go around and lecture about the dangers of communism and Jews. In 1919, he was sent to investigate the German Workers' Party in Munich. He went in to the meeting, gave a speech, and they asked him to become a member. He took that and he ran with it. That is where he starts to really take control of his political power. From the German Workers' Party, he creates the Nationalist Socialist German Workers' Party, or the Nazis. To gain more membership, he starts placing anti-Semitic ads in newspapers to gain people that believe the same thing he did. He creates a party platform that had 25 points. Out of those, the two biggest is he wanted to revoke the Treaty of Versailles, because remember, it punished the German people and made them pretty much guilty for World War I, and he wanted to revoke the civil rights of the Jews. He also adopts the swastika and puts it on the German or on the Nazi flag. The swastika actually goes back generations, even back to the ancient Greeks and so forth, and it was actually a symbol for a cross. Now, he becomes really, really famous on October 30th, 1923, when he holds a rally at a Munich beer hall. And this hall was a grand building, like it could hold up to 500 to 1,000 people. And he gets all these people really amped up, and they will decide that they're going to overthrow the Bavarian government. The German army sit in, and they are captured. Hitler is arrested and thrown in prison. This right here is where he uses his trial to gain even more fame and spread the ideas of Nazism. At his trial, he was charged for treason. He used it to speak about the Nazi platform and spread his popularity. Suddenly, the whole nation knew who Adolf Hitler was and what he stood for. He's sentenced for 5 years, but he actually only served about 9 months before he gets out of prison. Now, when he is in prison, he pretty much writes what's called Mein Kampf, or called My Struggle, and that is what makes him really, really famous. And it pretty much sets out everything that he believed in, and everybody knew what he wanted, and he pushes his platform. As I said, he sells 5 million copies. The topics include Jews were evil, Germans are a superior race, dislike for communism and democracy, and the need to conquer Russia. He used the popularity from the failed revolution and the book to seize power legally. He gets all these people to buy into him, and he goes around and he serves massive speeches to huge crowds. Hitler was very good public speaker and got people really drawn in. One of the things that he was able to do is he would purposely show up to these massive demonstrations really, really late, because it caused anticipation. And then when he did show up, he'd start talking very, very softly and make people really buy in and start listening to him. And then as he really started progressing and really wanted his points to get across, he got louder and louder and louder. And by that time, people were just pulled in to what he was saying. And he was able to pretty much captivate and draw a large crowd and a large following because of that. Eventually, he will get so many followers that he is voted chancellor in 1933, and the Nazi Party will rise to power. Now, he does this by getting the votes, but he also does it by using pretty much what he called the brown shirts, or people that went around and bullied people to either vote for the Nazi Party or not to vote at all. And I believe we are going to stop there today. Tomorrow I will pick up and have just a little, probably 5-minute video over the peel of Hitler and so forth. So I hope this helps you out, guys. We'll move on to the next one as we go through here. Hope everybody's doing great. Miss y'all. Bye.